Sandals on your hands.
And what does that allow me to do? Walk on hot sand?
Handstand walk on hot sand.
I can touch hot sand now.
Yeah,
Able to touch burning sand with his hands, as long as his thongs are on his hands.
right.
Saving the world one step at a time.
Thong hands man.
Look out! There's another wall of hot sand in front of us. I am here.
No.
Thank God, Thong Hands is here. He can push over the wall of hot sand. Yeah. Well, if you are in a situation where you're getting a lot of hot sand related, uh, what are they called? Challenges,
No.
then that's a good solution. I'm gonna upload these things to this other channel
Did you say you were leaving Nande?
I was going to.
But you're staying. Which means we must be doing something right.
I just don't want to go to sleep.
Right. No, I know after all that talk of death, right? You can't close your eyes. Do
I have nothing to say to that.
you have nothing? No
No.
comment?
Except for what I just said. I
here.
have so much work to do.
Are you in college?
Yes.
Oh.
My
You
first
watch my
semester.
procrastination video?
It's Damon Gray!
Who's David?
Yeah.
Oh.
We have the other Macho Man Randy Savage here with us. Got the other. How you doing, brother?
Can't hear
ya.
you.
Gotta turn on the microphone. Can't hear ya.
You're making
Okay.
me want to snap into a slim.
There you go.
Jim.
You're good. You're good.
All right.
Step into a Slim Jim.
Get your finger
Out of my ass.
What's up, guys?
What up, dude?
Hello.
According to a conversation I had with an ESTP yesterday, the ceiling. That's what's
Oh.
up.
You know,
This is a
I got a really interesting topic I wanted to ask you guys. All right. So, at what point do you destroy or nuke or eliminate a friendship? And can you relate this to type?
I don't. I don't do that really at all.
Okay.
I haven't ever.
The reason is
Who said I
I'll
haven't
keep
ever?
fighting them. I'll keep fighting them until we either reach agreement or until they stop talking to me.
Yeah, generally I'll just let it die away. But it generally doesn't.
Okay. So, all right. So, and
If they betray you,
when they betray you, okay, what is betrayal? Right.
hurt you or I don't know, betrayal.
When
You know,
when they kill all the Jedi children and then switch to the dark side, that is the quintessential betrayal. I think if we set the standard, everything else can
spoke to Kenneth and how spoken.
He redeemed himself. That betrayal was redeemable. At what
Okay.
point is it unforgivable?
So hold
Killing a
on.
bunch of
No,
children
When they
is
kill
just-
someone.
No, let's go back. Let's go back real quick because I just want to cut it out. Are you telling me if I murder
they
a room full
murder.
of children, if I murder a room full
Yeah.
of children, as long as I find someone more evil to kill, I'm redeemed?
Yes. Ken, you're always redeemed. Ken, you're always redeemed in my eye. Don't worry.
I mean, I haven't been. The thing is, I was subject to a betrayal by somebody that I didn't really think of as a friend exactly, but I thought of as a teammate, a former employer. And I mean, she met that qualification for that word in the sense that she was actively deceiving me to try to do me harm, capitalizing on the fact that I trusted her in order to exercise a scheme against me. Now that counts as a legitimate full blast betrayal. But the thing is, the reason that relationship ended is because she ran away and hid. She didn't want to talk to me anymore. She didn't want to answer any questions. She didn't want to be, she didn't want to communicate. If I could have made her sit there and answer my questions, that would have continued forever until she either saw it completely my way or just went insane from having to listen to me for that long.
Eric, I've noticed a common trend with you. If people don't answer your fucking questions, bitch, then that is the line right there.
Yes, it is. That's the line that gets.
I watched your demon. I watched your demon Windu video. That was hilarious.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
he's trolled my channel. He trolled my
Consider
channel.
those
I did it.
friendships. I guess I'd be wondering about the degree of what you would consider how strong the friendship is. Because if you're talking just sort of like friends, I used the word recently when I was referring to Trey. I referred to him as an ally. I used that sort of like that sort of friend circle. Then you got like the more inner circle. I'm saying it like it'd probably be the closer somebody is, if they betray you, I'm wondering how much more severe the reaction would have to be. Whereas if somebody's just sort of on the outside, you're like, yeah, I'm not really going to talk to them anymore. But you've known them for a decade, and they just start doing some shit that you're
I had
not
that with
thrilled
Corey. I had that with my friend Corey, INFJ, and ultimately that relationship kind of ended. I mean, sort of, I guess. But the thing is, that was all him, and I did my best to not fight him about a bunch of shit and try to see things his way and stuff like that. But you know,
Okay, so do we think we can actually root this down and type? And if so, what type is most likely to take the most shit from a friend? besides Ken, because he can murder
ISFJ.
children.
ISFJ.
ISFJ. Yeah, they're. I'm not even gonna say those poor ISFJs. They're fucking emotional troopers, is what they are. It's like
ISFJ
I think-
first,
yeah.
and then maybe INFJ from an intimate partner, maybe not from a friend. I don't know. But I think they'll take
Trey.
a lot from a friend too, depending on the kind of shit that they're taking. You know.
Yeah.
I sort of see it as like mixing cream and coffee. Once you enter into like, once you get in deep enough, then it's like trying to remove that person is like trying to remove part of yourself, so it gets messy.
Do you lose yourself in a friendship, Ken?
You know, I'm not sure. Maybe it sounds dark.
I'm starting to wonder about that finger now.
That what?
That
I
finger,
wonder about.
the one that's in your ass. Remember?
INFJs are interesting.
I'm trying to think of a rebuttal, but I don't have anything.
INFJs are interesting across the board, and I see them in
Oh man.
various forms of display, and I would say stages of development. You know, I've heard Sun be remarkably dark for an INFJ on occasions, but in general, they don't reveal their darker sides a whole lot to others.
Mhm.
You kind of have to deduce.
Trey,
it.
what is your perspective, Trey?
You said Trey twice. That means it's a joke.
It's,
What?
It's not a joke if I say it twice. What model are you referring to?
No. That was so.
Forgetting that.
That
me
was so.
talking and I said
That was so. I don't even know.
it was so scripted. I had a script on my screen, and I wrote it out, and I said, "That's exactly how I'm going to say it."
And now we turn to Trey. Trey, what do you think about the situation? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't say anything.
All my FE is like written on a script, and I'm the one that writes a script, so it's pretty bad.
Maybe
Remember to
like,
smile.
I actually want to talk to you about that FE thing. I want to talk to you about it after we finish this topic. But let's finish this topic.
Okay.
What do you think about other types that take offense to shit or don't take offense to shit, put up with shit? I think
ISFP
ENTJ is
maybe?
not a big put up with shitter. ENTJ,
Oh, no.
do you like to put up with shit? No.
I don't put up with shit, but the thing is, I'll be your friend as long as you don't burn the bridge of loyalty. Loyalty is my most important value. I don't care what you do. You can murder children as long as you're loyal.
What?
To it.
Somehow.
That is an exaggeration. Whoever said what? That's an exaggeration. All right, Trey, it's
Yeah.
your turn. We're waiting on you.
Yeah, but I don't even know
Right?
what What do you mean?
Eric just restated the topic. Did you space
okay.
out?
Use your intuition. Say words.
That's what I'm talking about.
Did you space out?
What type?
Yeah,
What type would take a lot of shit?
Your own perspective of what you how you would violate or when you would end a friendship. You said you have something to say. I want to share it with everybody, but I don't know how I should. Share what?
I haven't really, cut off very many people. I've cut off like.
I'm gonna cut off that many limbs.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm always pretty willing to, be friends again or whatever. Like if they cause some kind of issue, like I'm okay with like some kind of continuation for a while. I mean, if they end up getting a little bit cooler, I guess, then I'm totally cool with it. But if they're just constantly a stress point, I'd probably just start ignoring them. But I don't think I would actually cut them off, because you start to like understand how much of their shit becomes big shit. So then, like, they might say something, and okay, well, if I even engage with this, it's going to cause this big fucking problem, so I'm just not going to engage with it. And then occasionally they might actually be, like, legitimate or something, and I'll engage with them then, but I'm going to be drained every time I think of them. So after a while, I might eventually just be like, you know what? Like, I'm just not going to respond to this person at all. But I don't really know if I'd, like, make a big scene or anything like that. I mean, if they really are becoming a stressor to my life, that's when,
If they're acquaintances, then they can fall by the wayside without me even really noticing it, right? They generate insufficient interest for me to respond to whatever sally forths they make communicatively. And it's not even like I'm intentionally ignoring them. It's just like, that's a hassle.
I'm wondering how Enneagram plays a part too, because I was trying to think about this in terms of like a more counterphobic sort of 6 reaction in a way, where it's like if I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, then my response is to get angry and to start see the person as they start shifting from an ally into an enemy at that point.
Yeah, I think there is maybe some connection there as well. Maybe because of a perspective that you have that certain things are valued by you from the way that we talked about this on our recent Enneagram show too, is the way that you see the original holy truth or the perspective of the Enneagram.
I'm curious, both of you guys established criteria. You said if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, you said disloyalty. I'm curious to hear you both explain where those lines are, what they manifest as, what constitutes, what makes you feel like you're being taken advantage of, Kim, what makes you feel like somebody's being disloyal, Damon.
Okay, so Ken, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You can go ahead and go.
Okay, so for me, when I call someone a friend, it actually has a value, a meaning to it. And so it's like, I know that I can count on you. And I don't care if you disagree with me, because disagreement to me is actually progress. It's understanding a perspective and going, okay, I understand your perspective. You're still wrong, but I get your perspective. That's fine. But when I am in a bind, which I try to not put myself in a bind, I want to know that I can call you, rely on you, count on you to fulfill that particular need. When I start doubting that, the first thing I do is I confront it. Okay, I doubt this, or I'm having this idea, and I'll say, what part of this do I not understand correctly? And I'll lay it out in my own interpretation. So I give it a chance. It's not like I'm like, okay, screw you, you screwed me over. I try to lay it out in a logical way. Here it is. Here's what I'm perceiving. Can you validate it? Can you argue this point that I've made? Whatever it may be. And if they can successfully argue the point and show me that I'm wrong, then that's fine. But I want some kind of evidence to prove that I'm wrong. And I want to be wrong. I actually want to be wrong, but I cannot deny what looks like what it looks like. If I see an elephant, I'm going to call it an elephant until you can prove me otherwise. So that's kind of the nutshell. So when loyalty is actually crossed for me is when I having those doubts. What creates those doubts are things like, the actions that demonstrate a lower value on not even appreciation per se, but a lower value on the overall substance of friendship, which I see, unlike Ken, I see it all kind of outside of myself. The friendship is something that both of us contribute to. It's not really merged with me. Like Ken feels like he's cutting off a limb when he's removing a friend. I feel like I'm destroying something that I've created, I've invested in. And, and I've invested time or effort or even financial, whatever it may be. I feel like I've invested in this particular person and I lose it. And when I feel like this particular thing it takes two of us to make this work. And if my side falls apart, the whole thing kind of goes off balance, or their side falls. So I do everything I can to fulfill and obligate myself to that side. And there's stipulations I put up in a sense for myself in the friendship. I never really put stipulations on them. I'm just like, yeah, Nick, I've given my friends money, and I don't expect them to pay me back. If they pay me back, great. If they don't, they don't. But yeah, I give them money, absolutely. I don't mind. Are you wanting to be my friend? Is that what that look is? Okay, so, but yeah, that's kind of a nutshell. I mean, obviously, if you have specific questions, I can go into detail. Kind of.
See,
It's a very.
If he invests in his friends.
So, the only thing I'll add in here is it's a very FI thing for me, which means that I haven't established exact boundaries for it. It's either I feel it as if something's crossed, and then I try to logically analyze it. Like, okay, I don't react immediately off of it, but I feel it, and I can feel that particular perspective, and here's what I'm understanding. And then I try to make a logical sense of it, then I present it. So that's my understanding of kind of what it is. But yeah, so if you ask specific questions, I can kind of give you the boundaries of what would be and what wouldn't be, but I can't specifically lay it out and tell you this is exactly what it is. I might be able to recall an example, but I have to think about where that may be violated, particularly.
I mean, it's interesting. You talk about loyalty and disloyalty is significant. It's also really significant to me. And I mean, one element of disloyalty for me, I think, necessarily is going to be deception. Almost always, there's going to have to be some element of deception for me to find it disloyal. If it's all above board, then presumably I've had an opportunity to parse out this thing that's potentially a conflict of interest in some regard. I don't want people working against my interests. And so if I think somebody's working against my interests and they're doing it above board, like, well, I'm moving on, Eric, to be a competitor of yours. Okay, fine. Well, then there's certain protocols by which you understand that. But if it's something a little bit more shady, then like you said, it has to be discussed. And then if there's not a responsiveness on point, then we've got a problem. Yeah, and you need to be responsive on point at that juncture, or we got a problem.
Right, because I'm under the assumption that my claim is true until you can prove it otherwise. And so, I try to understand that not everybody can argue logically. I get it. So I'm trying to look at it from different angles, but you have to provide at least the angle in which I can argue your side.
You have to be responsive, in my perspective, which is
right.
You don't have to give me a good response, but you have to respond to what I'm saying.
Right. You have to give me something. That's all I need is something.
You can't
something
respond
that allows me
to other sentences that I didn't say. You can't respond to things that
answer my questions.
Yes. All right, Ken, let me hear about taking advantage of.
So something I was thinking about when you were talking about this, when it comes to relationships or whatnot, I had a thought that sort of energy and intention matters too. I notice one of my friends who I've been friends with for 16 years, the relationship I have with him, it's not as engaging as it could be, but it's one of the safer relationships because he's not evasive in a negative way. He's pretty laid back. He's somebody who I can approach, or on occasion will be like, hey, do you want to do something? And so there's not a whole lot of sort of
cheese in a
threat
sandwich
in a way. Sure. But was it thing I was going to say is with the I think cutting off, you were talking about how I set up an initial criteria, which is being taken advantage of. And the way I see that is, in a lot of ways, I want to yield in a certain way. Like, I want to sort of go with the flow and be able to open up more and to be more vulnerable is what I want. And I imply this in friendships too, not just something romantic, but in friendships as well. That's something I want to be able to do, and I want to be able to have fun. But if somebody repeatedly were to come in and try to sort of assert dominance in a way, but they had ill intentions, or they were looking to, if they learned how to be nice enough to sort of draw me in, but then they had ulterior motives, and I found out later maybe they like did something like they stole something, or they talked behind my back or something like that.
Wanted to touch your penis.
Yeah, I'd prefer they'd be upfront about that, so anyways, David's squinting. No, the point I'm trying to make is that with energy and whatnot, it's like because I want to be more open in that way. If somebody makes a habit of either makes a habit or makes a strong enough negative sort of move, then I see it as like I need to sever this connection, otherwise I'm going to get hurt, because my natural state is to want to be more open and more vulnerable, so they're threatening my ability to essentially be myself.
Anybody
sort of
else
how I see
have criteria for cutoffs they want to talk about? What criteria somebody has to meet before you say, fuck you, you're on my shit list. You're on my cold shoulder. Write it down bolder. It's a large rock in which I write down the people's names who get the cold shoulder. No? Nick, we can't hear you. Yes, really. You can read your lips, though. All right.
Yeah, your audio sucks. Okay, so Coach A, we got anything?
I don't know if my mic works. Can you guys hear me?
I
can hear you.
I just rolled up, so I kind of don't know what you guys are talking about.
When would you end a friendship? What criteria do you use to end friendships? When do you send someone on their shit list?
I'm really, I'm too much of a, I would say I'm too much of a people's person. Like, I don't really cut off relationships unless, because I guess I haven't had too many bad experiences maybe, but I don't cut off a friendship unless I find that an individual is either, like, really weird, like, socially awkward type weird, and or just like inappropriate. Like, for instance, I met up with a friend that I haven't met with since middle school, and he was just really immature. Like, it was hard for me to be with him in public because he was really, like, he's very sexist, and he makes a bunch of, like, jokes about things that, typically that a middle schooler would joke about, I guess. I don't know. But the fact that I can't be out in public with him because it's kind of like embarrassing. Like, if people overhear what it is that, he's talking about, it's like, and it's like stupid shit too. Like, oh, why was Helen Keller a bad driver? Oh, because she's a woman or something. And then I'm like, okay, like, do you expect me to laugh?
Are you talking about me, Abraham? You're talking about me, huh?
No, I'm not talking about you.
Did you already write Eric off?
No, you know what, Eric, when Eric says shit like that,
I know.
I don't really think about it as, no, first of all, Eric's not weird, and Eric's not, he doesn't spat out like a bunch of fucking, like, inappropriate jokes, And when
you been here?
He knows, he just knows who to get weird with.
Exactly.
Baby raping.
No, and when he does, it's like, I think about what I can say in response, and sometimes I say something like, oh, you shouldn't say that, Eric, and then Eric would, like, school me or something. Or I think about what I can say in response, and then I think about what Eric could say in response back. But that's like a, I don't know what you call that. That's like a, I don't know. Like anytime Eric,
It's called Abraham Goes
anytime
to
Eric,
School.
maybe. But basically, yeah, I don't cut off friendships, and if
Only
even
if they're
if
really weird, right?
like
Only if they're really weird.
If they're
even if
really
you are
weird,
like
you
that,
gotta
I
cut
can.
'em off.
Like if they dip their chips into mayonnaise, they're out. Like if they do shit like that, it's like
Your comparisons are great, Ken. Killing, murdering children, dipping chips in mayonnaise. Keep on the roll.
Okay, there's a friend. You generally like their personality, but they always carry a duck around with them everywhere they go. Now, is that a deal breaker for you? If they're willing to leave the duck tied up when they come to your house, outside.
Did they give the duck a personality? And
it's,
do they
it's
talk?
only it's only a deal breaker if they never talk about the duck.
Do they
If
fuck
they
the duck?
acknowledge the duck, we're good. If they bring up the duck,
That's an FE line right there. Introduce the duck.
They treat the duck well, but the duck is, I think it's fair to say, overly and overtly sexualized. He'll come up to you and he'll rub himself against you and stuff. So
Yes.
most people don't like the duck, but the owners of the duck, they coddle him, and they've never punished the duck for his behavior, so he's never learned anything. So
except with a riding crop, that's the only thing they use, and they call it naughty, naughty duck.
other than the duck, you like the friend a lot. Is the duck a disqualifier for you?
The duck's added value for me. I know you were asking me, but that guy's going to be strategically placed in a bar to make me look good or something.
I mean, you
Okay,
must
so the
get
duck could be an attention grabber. Do you like attention?
I think you could get a free drink if you walk into a bar with a duck under your arm. You should be able
It's
to.
just so it's so much. It can help you produce so much content. It's
Talking point.
an experience generator. Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can go so many directions with
I'd
that.
like to dress up as either a rabbi or a priest, get a duck, and walk into bars and walk into bars in crowded moments and just record all the different comments that people make. Now, I don't drink alcohol, so it would be purely for content gathering purposes. But
You,
I mean, I'm going
it's-
to try and talk a friend into doing this now,
I
and this
think
is
it's
a
a
brilliant
good
idea.
Eric,
You
This is
record it?
such a good idea.
sober.
Nick,
Eric,
you've got to record it. It's the next Talking with Famous People. Nick.
you gotta record that.
Next duck into bar.
I don't have access to.
Here's the deal, Eric. You go into the bar. You only get club soda, and you're like, I'm not here to drink. It's the duck's the alcoholic. That's what you do. You introduce the duck as an alcoholic. You're trying to wean him off. He's a friend. You're trying to help him out, but it's like he's been struggling. So you introduce the duck as a lifelong friend that really has a problem, and you've been here for.
You don't say any of that right away, though. You just walk in, you sit yourself down, you set the duck on the bar next to you, and you got like on a little leash so it doesn't wander off or whatever. And you say, "I'd like a 7-Up and fuck it, give him tequila. He's what he wants."
Hold on, do you have the duck? Or does
I
a-
have the duck. Okay, the duck's on the
I don't
bar.
think that's gonna work. I don't think that's gonna work.
Who's getting the duck?
We're
Is
gonna-
what we need.
All right, but we're going to figure out who Abraham's going to write off for having the duck.
Right. Does Abraham want to participate in the duck bar stunt?
Yeah.
Or is that too much of a challenge?
Here's frame it this way, Abraham. Out of everyone in the room here, if we all owned ducks, who would you like the least for
care
having a
about
duck?
the duck.
You're putting a lot of pressure on the man.
The duck is highly sexualized, Abraham. Isn't that isn't that a problem?
It, and you brought that shit around somehow. Yeah, tell you like, okay, I think I have to go somewhere, and then just like leave you hanging or something.
Okay, so if you're telling me that if someone brings a duck into a bar and the duck is causing all the scenery and making it very awkward for you, and you're not going to write this friend off?
Actually, I've gotten better at that. Like that same individual who I met up with in middle school that I hadn't seen in a long time, who was like really awkward in public, wanted to hang out again, and I guess the second time that he was awkward in public, I was just kind of like laughing, just like ah ha ha ha, like nervous laughter.
I don't know if that's a better response, but regardless, Abraham, I have a more important question for you. Now let's imagine that you are hanging out with this friend. You and the friend are walking. You think it's safe. You're walking in the park. He's walking the duck, and he doesn't have it under his arm at the moment. And you see this girl that you've been trying to put the moves on, and you kind of got the hots for, and he lets go of the duck's leash by accident, and the duck goes over and he starts fucking the shit out of this girl.
I knew it was going there.
Yeah, I knew that this was gonna.
And starts like humping her butt, you know, and she's like, ah.
I knew that this was.
No.
I knew this is where it was gonna go. It turned out that the duck's slaying all the puss. So it's like.
Oh,
Really depends
and then, wait,
on the
done.
type of
Hold
person
on.
who
Hold
has the
on.
duck.
I am not
I think
done.
you should.
I am not done telling you what happens. Now, in addition to this, once he's done, then he shits on her brand new expensive leather Italian shoes. And she looks over at you two guys, and he goes, "It's his duck!" And he points at you. Now, is that a deal breaker for you, Abraham? And then he runs away.
Do you run away? Do you wipe her shoes off and tell her sorry? He looks thoroughly disgusted right now.
She's like, "Abraham, why did you let your duck do that to me? I feel so violated."
Outraged. I'd be like, what the fuck? This is a fucking duck.
She's like,
It literally
"Don't lie
is a
to me,
fucking duck.
Abraham. I thought I
Come on.
liked you, but if you lie to me, it's over. Tell me the truth."
But here's an
your duck.
opportunity.
I know.
Now you can fight a rapist duck to the death.
The duck was the icebreaker. The duck was the icebreaker, Abraham.
Actually, no. Ice Driller was the name of his sexual move he was using.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
that's the duck.
I think it's gotten to the point where the fun is in asking the question. I don't know that you guys are actually anticipating a juicy
okay.
answer from Abraham at this point. I mean, could you expect one really? Who could follow this story at this point?
I could. I could
She
answer this
says,
question.
though, what if she says that? She's like, "Okay, Abraham, you can go out with me, but you have to let the duck fuck you first, too, so that we'll be even."
Um,
Abraham's so not into this right now. Look at that face. Poor guy.
Oh, man.
fucking selfish. I'd be like, hell yeah. Fuck the duck.
Fuck the duck.
Yeah.
Okay,
now,
so
you look like the duck's right now is smoking a cigarette. So,
okay, so you're saying you let the duck? What would you do? Would you let the duck or not?
Let the duck. Wait, I kind of got lost.
That's what I'm saying. First of all, do you guys know how long a duck's dick is? It's like unbelievable.
Abraham, you make it sound like you've never considered this question before. I mean, seriously.
I'm not saying the duck was able to get its way all the way around all the skirts and everything. I'm just saying it went through the motions. It's okay. She's okay. Her ample clothing protected her from even the long invasive probe of the duck penis.
Quick question. I want you guys to guess the length that a duck's penis can get.
That is fucking.
6 feet.
What the fuck?
Huh?
6 feet.
Here's a better question, Abe. Let's frame it this way.
Hey, Eric. Before,
What's the answer?
I have something important to tell you.
What?
You have.
I froze.
That's
Is
great.
that long?
It's a great
I
time.
thought it was like 10 inches.
I was gonna ask him how long would a friend have to talk about duck penises and duck sex before he decided I'm not gonna talk to you anymore.
We're just testing the limits of his friendship. How
I
weird
think-
we take the conversation.
He said he had something important to tell. What? Really?
He looks halfway happy though in the picture. I mean, it looks like he hasn't been disturbed by a duck penis conversation.
It's an adorable freeze frame.
He was thoroughly disturbed by this conversation.
He wasn't paying
There's
attention.
no question.
The original question was very interesting, though.
What do you got to
I wish
say,
it was-
Abraham?
I accidentally crossed this up. But I have to tell you something important, and that is that you have a very important email from fucking SG. I don't need to check or something.
SG.
Look into it.
Who's SG?
Yeah, Santa Margarita or whatever.
I don't want.
Or SM.
Okay, yeah, fine. I don't even want to check from them. I just went there like 2 days. I don't. It's like, it's not gonna work down there. It's impossible. Logistics are impossible. They can't even get me the students at the right time. What?
All right. Well, she just wants to let you check, and then
Yeah,
also.
okay. All right, fine. I'll deal with it. I already fucking told her not to bother. I told her like 5 times.
Which
I
one you
told her
talking
like
about?
5 times not to bother right
And,
each other.
and it was the one about duck
All right,
sex.
all right. I'll
was
deal with
the
it.
one.
I'll deal with it.
Eric-
I'll deal with it. Thank you, Abraham.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what you said. Oh, wow.
Sorry.
Okay,
My bad. I
Eric,
didn't mean to do that.
Nick said
What I said
if
about
I would
what?
go out with you, said we could go out without the duck or some shit. I don't know. I think that's what he said.
What are you talking about?
What was the question you asked?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Everything seems broken now.
Can we restore the juiciness of the original?
I have a